What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. We got a lot to cover today. Oh man, we got a lot to talk about today. This is gonna be a fun one. This is gonna be a fun one. And we got the squadron pilot into the house. Good morning to Al. We got Albert. We got Andrew, Utah in the house. Good morning to Andy, Bill, Brian, Drake, George. We got Jason P. King gonna rock with us. Good morning to Jay Linder, Lauren Martinez in the house, Remco, Sebastian Wally. The squadron is rolling on in. We got YouTube land lighting it up. Good morning to Let's Get Real. Good morning to Marie. We got Daniel in the house. All my lurkers in that background, that's okay. Just hit that like, subscribe. Still love you guys. But yeah, any comments you want to throw into the chat, any tickers you want me to look at, this is the time to do it. Remco says PayPal. It's PayPal and like everything else moving today. Let's Get Real says check out BTC. What's up? Get it. I think it says get it or get out. Let's take a look real quick at BTC. BTC USD. Nothing really crazy. No. I mean, we made a little bit of a run, almost hit that 36,000, which was kind of the target that we originally thought it could go to. It hasn't really had any pullbacks yet, but right now you got a lot of volume below you. So could we get pullbacks? Yeah, if we get crazy pullback, 27,000, something like that. Otherwise, I'm looking at more support, probably sitting around really like 30,300 and a little bit here, 34,000. So it's still looking decent on a long-term basis. Just one little highlight, high wave indecision candle, but good push so far on it. SPY. Marie says, will Apple go up? If I knew the answer to that question, Marie, we'll take a look at Apple though. We'll see. We'll put our best guesstimates in for sure. We got SPY. So the entire SPY is gapping up. The entire SPY is a retest gap. And we did move 1, 2, 3 days in a row bullish already. So the real question is, does any of this hold? We are at a little bit of resistance, although we've broken through the first one, which would put us at 423.80. That one we broke through. We got 426.07. So that's decent. If I'm looking at volume candles, this one right here that we're sitting at the top of, that is the highest volume candle that I see on my screen, at least so for the short time frame. We are above that one as well. I would think there's probably some bulls that want to take a little bit of gains. But otherwise, I have targets. The next target takes us to about 429.27. And then if we come down a little bit lower, I don't know what I want to hold. Probably looking for like 423.95. So somewhere, if we get a little bit of retest, this gap is also pushing us back above the 200. So that's pretty healthy. Maybe we could hold on to this 425.61 zone. That would line up with that little support right there. So it is a very good gap. It is all retest gap. This seems to be momentum. And I think today, at least, we're shifting into a buy the dip territory. So as opposed to over here on this free fall, this is not the buy the dip, but we're starting to get interesting. TLT would be also something to consider today, but we'll take a look real quick at the Qs. Nice little gap up here. We got a resistance looming right above us somewhere at 363.25. And then the next spot, if we get a little bit higher, 365.33. So all of it, yeah, we are pulling into a little bit of resistance. And you same thing. You got 1, 2, 3 days. Yesterday was a pretty big day for the Qs. Support on this one, if we come down, I'd like to see probably 359.85 hold. So a little bit of we're right in the middle of kind of everything with a little bit more probably room to go in the bearish direction if we want to lock any of these gains in. Let me do one quick Fibonacci on this one just to see how much of a retrace we've had. We are right at that 618 retracement. So we got 326.30, 31, something like that. I can't see the number. 32. We'll call it 34. Just blindly make up that number, but somewhere in this zone. 362.34 is the 618. So if all this thing has to do is come back and retest, that would be the spot to do it. We're right there now. So as much as I want to go bullish, I'd have to be very cautious at being bullish, or at least buy the dips, wait for the dip. So I'm not going to be buying this type of dip at market open. It's going to be very tough to short it too, so that's going to make trading tougher. But TLT, this is the one that is pretty exciting. We do have a fairly decent move. So we've consolidated down here. We had a good breakout, retest, nice close yesterday, and another just massive gap up today. So TLT, really, really good gap. Again, that's going to allow some breathing room on the SPY. Jason says there's a 50-50 chance. Yeah, it's a flip a coin. Flip a coin. But we the next resistance on TLT is 87.47. We got one little resistance here. So again, as much as I'd like to say we're gonna rally, I think there's gonna be somebody that wants to take some profits in this type of market. Although some of these moves are really crazy. We have a lot of earnings out. Let me see if we'll go through. We'll start with PayPal. Let's start with PayPal. Let's start with PayPal. That was the first ticker I see. But PayPal came out with earnings, hardly moved off the earnings. Maybe like 0.5%, 1%, I think was the high from the actual earnings report. This one is a gap and go for today. Good volume, obviously, coming in yesterday. Also, great volume that we're taking out on this candle, which is the 25th, October 25th. So we're above all of that. The next highest volume candle is here. I got 55.74. Could be a little bit of resistance on this one. The entire move on this is coming mainly from the new CEO's conference call, so I was able to listen to the entire thing. Definitely sounded positive, definitely sounded focused. He was saying exactly what I was thinking, where the main thing, they don't have a lot of room in terms of being able to increase pricing, because there's transaction fees that they have to deal with on every processing. So the more they grow, the fees kind of grow with them, but they can focus on cutting costs, and I think that was one of the main goals. He sounded a little bit like Mark Zuckerberg, not gonna lie, in when Meta was down at like $100 a share, $120 a share, whatever it was. And the entire conference call, Mark Zuckerberg was just talking about, we got to refocus, we got to cut costs. This is the next 12 months is all about kind of streamlining the business. So he was definitely getting into some very, very Zuckerberg like comments. So I think very good on PayPal, at least going forward. I still think PayPal is extremely cheap. But we're in this one for anybody in the 10K challenge. Some of you guys got in at a lower price than I did, and they're already making comments like, hey, I'm almost at that 10% goal already. So pretty fantastic, but definitely a much needed gap. I think that's hopefully we still have to see a couple more quarters of numbers. I'm hoping to be out of the trade before then, but we do have good resistance coming in, $57, $58. And then we'll go from there. But pretty decent gap, strong call. This is a gap and go. And it is closing above some, or at least we're opening above some decent down candles. So do I want to get bullish right at the open? I don't know with that resistance. Otherwise, it does look pretty decent for continuation. Tesla, again, it is. So I was talking to Lou about this one last night. We were doing a one-on-one session, and man, we kind of Lou. I don't know if Lou's in the house, but we kind of nailed our prediction on the gap, which is kind of crazy. We were saying, so this is technically a retest gap on Tesla, right? We have 2 green days in a row. But what we were saying is, if we're looking at these volume candles, we got one right here. So if we're gapping anywhere above this candle, it should lean a little bit longer than shorter, because this is the candle that emotions really got played with. Somebody probably closed out their position. Somebody panicked. Somebody was getting in short, feeling good at the close. These 2 candles, even if you got short at the bottom, you're not really freaking out yet. Anything above this candle, yep, you're now, you have to act on your position. The next big volume candle is this one. So that would take targets, I think, into this zone right here, probably about the 220. So we do have a little bit of room to go on Tesla, probably about another $7. I would act as, again, still we got to count this candle. So I think we get a little pullback. I think that'd be decent for Tesla. Maybe we get it, but I don't think we come in, and I don't think we retest this candle at all. So maybe we get a move down to like just under 210. We got a decent level right here, so we'll see if that one holds first. Again, I'm probably going to be a little patient and open, let some things shake out a little bit, and maybe I missed some trades, and I'm okay with that. But um, if this thing comes down, dips, the fact that we're getting above these candles, this candle, um, let's see if we get a little pullback on Tesla. And I do like this into at least the 220 zone for right now. Everybody, I think, is looking at this wide open gap and probably putting some targets up there for today for day trading. I don't think we get there because there is a lot of bears that want to protect that position right there with that volume. So maybe it's a 220 zone, I think, for Tesla. All right, I didn't forget about Apple. We'll check out Apple. Apple does have earnings today, so trading on Apple could get a little strange today, potentially. No matter how today closes, none of it's going to matter tomorrow because we're probably going to get a gap one way or the other. And by the way, as much as Jerome Powell kind of gave the blessing, we'll get into that too, probably during the market open time. But Apple could still change everything. Apple could come in, it could be a horrible miss, zero interest in iPhones, who knows? And that might put some more pressure back onto the market. Or if we survive Apple, which a lot of companies have had decent earnings this quarter, that could give us another little safety net and further push us back, especially if this is all by the dip. But this is a retest gap for today. Again, into a little bit of resistance. So I'm not loving the amount of room we have on this thing, especially before earnings. But I I don't blame you for trying to buy the dip today. I personally don't think I would hold this one as a gamble into earnings for me personally, but because I think valuation, we are a little bit higher on Apple for now, and it wouldn't be, to me, worth the risk reward to kind of hold it. But if you want to straddle something or play with some options, that could make sense. Otherwise, yeah, same thing. I wouldn't be the first one to buy the dip here. We are looking decent in terms of, that was the last higher volume candle. We're well above that. We actually got the close above that yesterday. And I've got my next highest volume candle is all the way back here on September 15th. Not quite above that, but we are above the VPOC from that day as well. So that is taking out, I'll be looking at the bottom of this candle, probably somewhere around 174.86 is the bounce spot for today. Again, I don't think we come in, I don't think we close that full gap, but we are pushing into some moving averages as well. So we'll have to see how that wants to break down. We got Disney. Murray says I'm not trading today. I'm not trading Apple today. Yep. Disney, good hammer yesterday. Nice inside candle. It is a gap and go. Really, first volume candle was here. We're well above that. We actually retested into that, so that looks healthy. Same thing. This candle, even though it is a gap and go today, I'm gonna look at this candle. So we had some bulls come in. Any bulls that bought this dip down to $80 on this gap up might be feeling a little bit happy, wanting to sell. I'd be looking at this as kind of a retest. See if we get a pullback on Disney till maybe somewhere around 81.62. Then it could be time to go. We still have about a week, just under a week until earnings for Disney. Next resistance on this one is 82.30. If we can break that one, I think we have a very strong resistance somewhere around 83. So it still has a little bit of room. But again, I would be looking more for buy the dip, buy the pullback, as opposed to just opening out of the gate and running. There was one more with that one. Starbucks. SBUX. Starbucks. They reported earnings yesterday. I didn't even see them. They're up. They beat by 9% earnings per share. They also beat by $83 million in revenue. So that's pretty decent. Man, all these things. The biggest problem I'm seeing right now in this market is I don't trust the bulls. That is quite the gap. Quite the gap. There's a lot of resistance up here though. This might have to be a fade. I'd probably have to fade this one. We got some volume right in here as well. Any close above 101.89, I think gives us a decent amount of room to 102.59 and then essentially back to 104. But if we cannot get above this 101.79 zone, this is probably gonna be a chop. I think that would take us back down to like, so if we could sell off and we could get into like the 99.43, I'd start to look to buy, and then as close as I could get to like 98.60 would be a decent buy zone for Starbucks. All right, today's gonna be today will regardless be a very interesting day for the market to see how this thing closes, to give us any idea if buy the dip or sell the rip is still in place, because we are definitely getting some rips. Palantir was another one. They had earnings. Surprise beat of earnings per share is 23%. Surprise beat is 2.6 million in revenue. They've been just absolutely running. They also now qualify to be put into the, not that they're going to be, but they do qualify now with just the qualifications needed on a certain amount of revenue beats to be added to the S&P 500, which is a big deal because now they can get some of that, some of the bigger players to potentially invest into it. Some of the hedge funds or mutual funds potentially could start to get to them if they could get to. They're not in it yet, but they at least qualify for it. But that is a hefty gap on these guys as well. Same thing. We do have, I mean, I don't know. Last time we've been putting in lower highs up here. I think $18 is going to be a very strong resistance spot. And if we start breaking at 18, there's really nothing in the way. I mean, 19 would be the next one, but I think probably back to $20. But we have to get a new higher high eventually. Technically, this is a retest gap, but I wouldn't even be too concerned with that retest. I think there's people want to take profits. I think the high side of this one today is probably takes us to about 1783. I do own shares of Palantir. Might be selling some covered calls. I don't want to put too much time on them though. That's the biggest issue. I don't want to go like a month out, because I really don't want to lose the shares of it. But I'll have to consider that one. Yep, Palantir also raised guidance. The earnings look good on Palantir. I liked everything that I saw on this one. Again, the only thing is there's a little struggle bus zone up at $18 that we'd have to get through. What I think happens today, I think for most things, we probably open. I think there's going to be people that just want to lock in profits. It's been a very tough market for bulls. That will cause the initial drop on probably a lot of things. And then somewhere around like 11, 12 o'clock today, I think that's when the buy the dippers start coming in on most things, because we are opening into a decent resistance where if I was in some of these things, like I'm in Palantir long term. I'm not, I don't care if it goes up, down, all around, doesn't matter. But if I was getting into here, Palantir, extremely good support levels, even into earnings. I mean, we have good support here. You got down to there. That could be a good retest. You're sitting there going, okay, we're under $15. We got earnings coming out. We're all over the place, which is, I mean, right up Palantir's alley. for potentially getting big contracts. It's not really much risk down here going into earnings. And where would I be targeting? Probably right up into that zone. So I think a lot of if I was in this thing for a day trade or swing trade, my targets would be up here somewhere. Murray says the coffee's not tasting good today. You got to get some Starbucks. You got to get some Starbucks coffee. Uh-huh. If you're able to pronounce the name of your coffee, you're not doing it right. The other one I was watching, which I'm so annoyed with this one. Enphase. Anybody in the 10K group I threw out, we did an analysis. It was like 4 to 5. I think it was it Monday? I have to look up the exact price, but it was like 70, what was it, like 71.89 or something was the spot I was looking to buy. They came in right to that spot yesterday after hours. We got down to 71.24, and then now we're back up to $76. So they're definitely buying the dip here. I still think it's relatively cheap. I might just go ahead and buy some shares today. That's like a starter position in this thing, and then if it pulls down, I'll buy bigger positions. But I was like, oh, just stay down there. Just give me the open down there. I didn't want to. So all good. Let's see. Jason says I predict that Apple beat. I missed my third pyramid level by 30 cents. So that's usually how it okay. So that's it's guaranteed to beat now for sure. Yep, for sure. There's I know that feeling. I know that feeling. All right, we got Amazon. So we got still this good gap and go. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one, I don't think we're gapping on news. Amazon reportedly partnering with a firm for buy now, pay later. Okay. Why do you partner with PayPal? All right. But still a retest gap. Actually, a firm would probably make a better play off that one. There you go. There's a firm. What's the short float on a firm? B&V's. Nope. Finn's Seafood and Grill. Not quite. Not quite what I was looking for. AFRM. They have a short float of 20%. We're taking out this candle. We're at the higher edge of this. I got one little spot, $20.02. But a firm off that news might be decent. We'll get them up there for sure. Let's see. Did I miss any tickers? Ivo says Bulls on parade. For now. For now. Yeah. I think I covered all the tickers you guys wanted. Brenda says, great morning. Good morning to you. All right. Let's run down the list. Take a look at super micro computers. Let's check that one out. SMCI. They also beat on earnings yesterday as well. Nice little gap up from them. We got 265.88 should be a strong resistance. And not much difference there. I'm gonna get FOMO. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna get FOMO from not wanting to just jump into everything bullish. If I'm taking a bullish play in 15 minutes, somebody just shut me down. Just I'd have to take a break. But this is another good retest gap. Still a decent gap above this last pivot, kind of into where those wicks came in, and I am looking at about a 265.59-ish, somewhere in that zone. Should be resistance on these guys. But otherwise, pretty fantastic gap. That should move with that gap. I mean, that should give a little more confidence to AMD, who just had an absolutely incredible day yesterday, pushing right in. I mean, just nonstop pushing into resistance. So we got the good close there. Next target on AMD, if we could get moving again, would be 110.04. I think this is still now by the dip territory, which would take us the dip. If I could get it like 106.41, potentially that would be a decent spot to look. If we start breaking down there, then we get 50% of this retracement, and a much better spot would be somewhere around 103.86. But we're gonna need the market to really sell off, I think, for us to get there. Craig says I'll shut you down. I appreciate that. That's what friends are for. That's what friends are for. I know I'm gonna get. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna get FOMO because everything looks so awesome. Like I just want to be in the bullish camp. SRPT. Yeah, selling calls at open. I like it. I like it. And a lot of it has to do with the blessing that Jerome Powell gave yesterday. It was a very strange Jerome Powell. Very, very strange. But he kind of opened up the lanes a little bit to like, okay, maybe we could go bullish, and then he just got smacked with tons and tons and tons of just absolutely bullish earnings. After we've had a deep sell-off. Makes sense. So therapeutics, I don't really play this one too much, but this would be a pretty decent retest gap on that first gap. I think we're just coming in for that retest. My real question on this one is how far do we go? I think we're almost at, yeah, so I'm looking at like 81.52. If that could break, probably about 89.77. And then if that breaks, we're coming almost back to like this 103. But I don't know why this was gapping down. So it did beat on earnings. Maybe it's a forecast. Beat on revenue as well. We got a price target raise to $93 from 82. Keeps the buy rating. So everything looks positive. I'm not sure why we gapped down on this. But earnings were yesterday. The day before we gapped down. So maybe that was on some type of news. I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, if you want to play it long, again, see if you get a little tiny pullback. Try to buy it off of like 76.93 would be your first spot to look. Maybe we come back down, test the top of this candle 67.64, but you have a little bit of room in this thing bullish. Oh yeah, Roku. What was the deal with them? They didn't beat earnings. They absolutely smashed earnings. They're saying so they had a miss, but a lot of their earnings per share was a miss. They absolutely clobbered the revenue, so 55, but a lot of their metrics of how they actually calculate their growth and user, like, it was actually a pretty good report. I think they raised their guidance as well. Kyle says, I'm in Roku 59.29 for a swing trade on. Oh man, it's the sound that you're going to be hearing today. Beep, beep, beep. Just backing the truck up. Just backing the truck up. But yeah, really good on Roku. Again, same thing with a lot of these things I'm looking at. This is technically a gap and go, but you are clearing some decent pivots. The last high volume candle really is that can't be the morning bell, but it is October 18th. We're above all of that. So yeah, ready starting to run a little bit. Right here should be 73.11. I think a little bit of resistance. We'll see again if any of these holds up, which we won't know till the end of the day. But again, I'm probably going to sit out some of these morning rallies, which we'll get because there's going to be excitement. And then if we come a little bit later, or if I could get an opportunity to short something, I'm going to try to look for that. But we'll see. Everybody out there, YouTube land, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button if you have not done so already. It just feels good. It feels good. But you guys are incredible.